scrolling and reading names out loud. Hi, Alyssa Fraden. I am going to begin. So hi, I am Rachel Patterson. I am the director of Acting Studio Chicago. Welcome to our students and the Chicago acting community to our new ASC webinar series. I'm excited and I'm grateful to you, Claire, for agreeing to join Adria and myself today. So thank you.
My pleasure.
For those of you who have been asking, current classes are resuming online this Saturday, April 4th. Our incredible faculty is trained in practice classes, demo classes, and they are psyched. They really are ready to go. Our fully online 6-week May term classes will be live on our website to check out by Wednesday, April 1st. So everybody keep training, keep creative, keep safe. Thank you, have fun. And now I'm going to pass the virtual mic to Ms. Adria Dawn.
Oh,
All right, have fun.
All right. Hey, everybody. We had almost, well, over 1,000 people now register. So I won't just say watermelon, 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 okay? But before I forget, we're going to be having a live Q&A as part of this webinar, as well as answering some of your questions that you emailed us. But for the live part, I just want you all to make sure that you put your questions in the Q&A section and not the chat section, okay? Q&A. That way I will see it and hopefully have time to pass it along to Claire to answer. But if you put it in the chat, then it's just you guys chatting, okay? So today we're talking with Claire Simon of Simon Casting. Her office is known as the Casting Mafia because they're so talented and badass at what they do. Well, yeah, I said a little cuss word right there. I sure did. Anyway, thank you, Claire, so much. Speaking of being a badass at what you do, you also make an awesome series on YouTube called Simon Says. Do you guys know about that? It's tips and advice on everything to do with auditioning. And if you don't know about it, you should totally check it out. Simon Says. Claire, can you remind me of when that comes out?
Usually we put a new video out every Tuesday. We've got tips for auditioning, insights. We have a whole series called Chicago Zone where we interviewed some of Chicago's top actors about everything from auditioning to their headshots, which is really fun. It's really fun to hear like people like Dave Pasquesi and Tim Kazurinsky, and so that's really insightful and funny. We also did a couple of our own little comedy casting. One's called Nightmare on 16th Street, where it's about casting nightmares, and another one is an audition one, which is just kind of us using some of our creative juices. But it's all designed like to help you guys, you know, to share what we see all the time and to help you audition better and book the job. So check us out. It's under Simon Casting.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I see that you're looking awesome in your jammies, Claire. Thanks for participating in the jammy game. You guys out there, don't forget to tag yourself in your jammies. Take a selfie and tag ASC on your social media, okay? So, all right, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit here, and I'm just gonna acknowledge to everyone that this is a weird time, this sheltering in place. And so I wanted to start out with a question about that from Lisa D, whose favorite jammies are a pink and green camo set. Thank you very much, Lisa. Lisa says, fast forward to a year, Claire, and what does our process look like? Is it totally digital or is it back to normal?
Oh gosh, well, that would be interesting if I could be a fortune teller. You know what? I think the process for me will still be much the same, because so much of what we do is with our you know, PD and fire in our shows, in which we have the directors coming in to actually see you guys audition. So I don't think that will change, but you know, auditioning, general auditions, and like we're working on a show for IRT right now, and we were supposed to have the session today, and when this all went down, we just transferred it to everyone putting themselves on tape and sending them a link. So
Wow.
I think because of this, I'll have it will give us a broader reach to see more people in a shorter period of time. I see myself utilizing this more so that I can see more people before I get them in the room, if that makes any sense. And I also think, flash forward to my psychic ability, I think some creative stuff is going to come out of this time period, as it always does with creative people. And, I just have a feeling people's material and work might get seen, whereas it wouldn't have before, because everyone's using these modes of connection and, sharing our work. So I think there's a good chance that maybe some good stuff, some good things will happen for some of the actors and writers and things like that who have their material up on a platform that maybe not ordinarily everybody wasn't looking at, but they're going to be now because there's no other choice.
Awesome. You guys, that's so exciting to hear, right? I like your positive spin on it, and I think that you're right. Speaking of getting seen, I know that Claire is working on your virtual spring showcase. Claire, the date's been extended, correct?
Our spring generals?
Yeah.
Yeah, we extended it to April 30th.
Ooh, you guys hear that? That's exciting. You have over a month to get it together.
Yeah, make sure you go on to Breakdown, because it has the directions, which a lot of people don't pay any attention to, because we want a headshot and a resume, and I think they asked actually to tell us what your piece was and stuff like that. But it's a great way to get seen, and we have nothing to do but look at monologues, so everybody will be viewed. So don't just know that you will be seen.
Okay, so speaking of, let's talk about these monologues then. What are you looking for, obviously? Like I hear you like comedy more than the drama.
Well, here's the deal, you guys. Like when you do a monologue for somebody, and if it's for a general, like when you go in to do theater, you've got to be informed of what their season is, and like you can't go in to Shakespeare rap and do Mammoth, because that's not what they're doing. So even if you're really, you know what I mean? Like you have to sort of inform your piece to fit with what their season is or what their theater is. But when you're auditioning for a general, for me, it's so I can get a feel for who you are. So, I mean, there's no way in the world in 2 minutes you're going to show me all your colors and all your talent and everything, like, yeah. You're not going to do a birth, life, death kind of thing in 2 seconds. So it's 2 minutes for me to sort of get a flavor for you and a sense of who you are and how comfortable with you are with yourself. So when you leave, I can get a feel for your energy and then be like, oh, I could put her there, or he'd be perfect for this, or I got to remember him for when, Chicago Fire has this. So you want to pick a piece that feels like you. It's like, I think if you think of it more in terms of like a first date, it's at the risk of being creepy. Yeah. A first date where you just want somebody to see the best of you and to leave a really good vibe when you leave and want them wanting more, as opposed to feeling like you got to show somebody everything that you could possibly do. So if comedy isn't your thing and you're just super not funny, I wouldn't do it. But here's my philosophy is if you went to a cocktail party and you went up to somebody to talk to them, and they're like, oh my God, like my foot got amputated and I had an abortion and I just got divorced. You'd be like, you know what, I'm going to go get a drink. But the people that are funny, like somebody who does something funny kind of invites you in, you kind of have them in the palm of your hand. And so I find that when people do monologues, it's just something, I see it in the showcases. Like we would go to DePaul every year, and the person who did the funniest one, everybody would be in the lobby, about it. And it wasn't because everybody else wasn't talented. It's inviting. And when you do something that's super, violent or sexual or very dramatic or whatever, you usually don't have the context of the whole play. And it takes, like if you're doing something really intense, you generally have the luxury of a whole play to get sucked in and to get really vested in what they're talking about, and you understand. So when you do something that's intense, or I find when people do something that's really too sexual, or talk about body fluids or things like that, that's a little off-putting. When you only have 2 minutes, I don't mind going to a play where they're doing something with bodily fluids. That's fine. But just when you've got 2 minutes, so I just think you have a better chance in 2 minutes when you do something comedic to kind of pull somebody in and want them to know more about you.
Great. So now you all are going to be trying to find some comedy. I know it. Anyway, what little jewels of advice before you put that self-tape up for her to look at? So speaking of, Claire, how many tapes do you think you're going to get, and how are you all going to watch them? Like, do you divide and conquer, or what?
Well, yeah, we're going to divide and conquer. We got the whole office. And so, although since I get to be queen, I need to see everybody. So when the girls go through, them, like, we're all going through them. But if when the girls go through them and see people they think are really great, then they make a link. So I make sure I see everybody. So everybody is seen. But since there are so many, we do all are looking at them. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna now kind of switch into self-taping for actual auditions and scenes. Since we're online all the time now, when you do ask for a self-tape for a scene, what are the things that really stand out for you?
Well, I'll just tell you what. Yeah, okay. You should be off book, because for a number of reasons. Mostly if you were seeing me and I was like this doing my piece, there's nothing going. It's hard enough to seem like there's something going on when you're just a self-tape. So you don't want to have your head in paper. You don't want to be unfamiliar with what you're reading. You want to be connecting with whoever's reading with you. So being off book and making some choices. I can't even tell you guys how many times people send me tapes and they don't have a reader.
Oh, that's my question, Claire. So Sky E says, well, she's a simple person and her PJs are really just a t-shirt and sweatpants. But her question is, what do you do if you absolutely cannot find a reader?
The thing that sometimes people have done is recorded the other lines,
right,
and play them. And I guess that's a worst case scenario. But people sometimes will be like, what do you mean you're breaking up with me? No.
Oh,
Yes, I do. And you're like, what is going on right now? So you have to have a reader, and it can't, you guys, it can't be your mom unless she's really good, because no, seriously, because some people have their mom reading off or their dad or whoever, but they're not good. So it's the same as if you were in the room. Like, what's going on when you don't have lines is just as important as what's when you do have the lines. Like, the communication and the listening is really so much a part of acting. So if you have no one to riff off of, the best thing I would do is like record it, and then play it. But don't ever send a tape with nobody there.
Okay, great. So Jackie H, that answers your question. Who likes to wear flesh-toned bodysuits for PJs? You can use the dictaphone. Okay. You can record yourself, okay? But you guys, I'm just going to throw in too, if you record your own lines, they can't be louder than yours. You've got to, like, they're usually quieter, so make sure you get the level right on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Oh, yeah. So.
Oh, wait, can I say something else about the, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Also, guys, make sure the lighting is really good, and because you just want to look as pretty as possible. You want to look your best. And I mean, sometimes people send me audition. Here, I'm going to demonstrate.
Do it.
this. Like this. You're not going to get the role when it's like that. Your whole face has to show.
Or it's like this.
Yeah, like this.
You do
So
that.
you want to make you want to make sure you're balanced in the frame, and so when you're done with it, you need to look at it and make sure you're pleased with it, because what a lot of people do is they throw it on tape and they send it, and I'm like, nobody looked at this. So just make sure what you're sending off is something you're really proud of, and ask yourself, would you cast you if you got that tape? So
We all like, yes, I would cast me.
yeah, because I would know how talented I was. Yes.
Okay, I have a question about self-tapes from Lisa C. Hey, Lisa. Hey, girl. Are you open to auditioning actors based in LA on tape who can work local hire back home in Chicago? What would the process look like for that?
Yes, we do that all the time, as a matter of fact. The hard part about that is are you saying, does your agent submit you for Chicago stuff? The problem is so if I get my script on Monday, we have our casting conference call Tuesday, I start prepping on Wednesday, our sessions Friday, and we book them on, you know what I mean? Like, it's fast and furious. So it would be impossible for me to release a breakdown in LA and then sort through all the people who will work as a local hire and then call their, that whole process. There just isn't enough time. If you're on my radar and you're in LA and I know that you would work as a local hire, absolutely. Yes. The answer is
yes, you did. Okay, great. So I just kind of quickly want to talk about physicalization in self-tapes. I know that when you came to my class, which was great, you really honed in on making physical choices if they worked in the scene. And I wanted to know if you would share that story with me that you shared about that reporter.
Without me demonstrating it?
Or like, you kind of do it, or just talk about how important it is, or,
Well, first thing, guys, like, you'll always go in and there'll be an X on the floor, but you don't have to be glued on that. If the movement is valid, like if in the script it says, can I have a cookie? You can reach for that. You can do the actions that would happen in real life if that scene were happening. You don't have to be planted in there, because a lot of people stand there because they're not really sure what they're supposed to do, and it just doesn't look. Just be a human. You just have to be humans. And if it's too much movement, yeah, if it's too much movement, like, we're on your side. So if you have do one take and it's too much movement, we'll just tone it down a bit. It was Chris Stolte, who I think is one of the best actors on the planet, but it was John Hugenacker. Chris is a great actor, but John Hugenacker came in and it was like a 2-line thing for a film we were watching, and it was like, excuse me, can I ask you a few questions? He's a military recruiter, and it was just kind of flat, and everyone just kind of stood on the X and did it. And he actually had like a clipboard, and he walked backwards. How when you try to stop somebody, wait, excuse me. And he walked backwards with the clipboard, and it just, I don't know what it was, but it just it turned it into a scene without trying to turn it into the feature film itself. Like, it just was really natural and made sense and was really valid, and he got the role. And it just made me realize how making a really valid, organic choice changes everything.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I feel like so many of us are like, must be still, must be statue.
Yeah,
so,
no.
Yeah. Okay, great. I have a question, just so you guys know out there, I'm totally going to get those live questions more towards the second half of the webinar. So hang tight, I promise. I do have a question from Michael H. And he wants to know, and I know a lot of actors will ask at ASC this question, where do I look when I walk into Claire's audition room? Sometimes the camera's in the different places. Do I focus on my reader? Do I look at the camera slightly off? And what would you tell them?
Look at me at all times. Okay, I'm kidding.
I'd be like, hi.
I want all eyes on me.
Yeah, in my face.
Yeah. No, you should always, always, always look at the reader. That's why
Oh,
you're there always.
see, I told you, reader. Even if the camera's over here, reader, reader.
Reader, reader, reader. Because because again, like the energy that's going on with you and the reader and what's going on when you're listening, there's stuff that you do when you listen. Watch somebody on a cell phone once when they're having a conversation. Nobody just talks on the phone like this. They're like doing stuff. They're walking around. They're looking at, when somebody talks to somebody in a conversation, they shift, they engage, they listen. So you want to use your reader. Hopefully it's a good reader and will give you something to respond to and to listen to.
Great.
You never look in the camera ever. You just end up looking like a doe in the headlight. Yeah, you look like this. Unless you're a reporter or an anchor person or somebody who would
Look.
always look, yeah, if that would be their job, is to like look straight into the camera.
Okay, cool. Okay, thanks. So I have a question now from Brooke Celeste. Celeste is my sister's name. Anyway, she says, I have sides where my scene partner has a lot more lines than I do, some of which are long paragraphs, and while my responses are almost only a few words long. Should I have my reader read all the person's lines fully, or should I cut some of them down?
That's a good question. Are we talking about on camera stuff?
Yeah.
That's hard too as an actor, because sometimes it's super boring when they're talking. If you come into the room and we've given it to you, are you talking about doing things on tape?
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. You know what? I think if it's given to you, you have your reader do all the lines, because obviously they want to see your reaction. They want to see you listening. That happens a lot in Chicago Fire. Like when somebody, we call it, it's a technique. And the next Facebook posting, I'll teach you smushed acting.
Ooh, smushed acting.
It's very technical.
Is it this? Is it that?
It's a little bit of that. It's very hard to understand. No, in Chicago Fire, we always call it like there's the announcer person who goes over here, and then there's a smushed actor who is like staple gunned or has a truck or a tire on his head or the tree fell, and so they're just like, doing stuff like that. And there's always a million lines, and all they're doing is, it hurts. I mean, seriously. The nurses are like, give him an IV. I'm going to intubate him. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, but the directors always want to leave those in because they want to see the person reacting. They want to see the person in pain. So if you're given those signs, there's generally a reason. So yes, have the reader do all of them.
And bring that smushed acting, okay, you guys?
Smushed acting for another time.
Okay. Well, we'll be waiting eagerly for that. Okay, William K has a question about wardrobe. He says, any colors to avoid at your office? Also, what about auditioning in full costume? For example, Claire, full nurse, full doctor, full security guard costumes, as opposed to wardrobe that just suggests.
Good question. Just so you know, for almost 90% of the auditions that we put on tape, it's like waist up. So like, you don't have to wear your tutu or anything, because generally we only have it up here. But if you have a security guard shirt, if it's like if the wardrobe is like a shirt, or you just have a badge or something like that, sometimes that's really helpful. I think when you wear the uniform or whatever, you just look like the role. It's easier to buy you as the role. There's some things like you don't have to go into full costume with, feathers and the whole bit, but like if you come in for a waiter and you're wearing a white button down and black pants, that really works. If you've got like a security guard or the scrubs, I don't know. I think it's helpful for you guys to come in looking like the role. You don't have to do like, don't bring a gun.
Oh yeah, no gun.
Yeah. You don't have to go crazy, but if you've got the shirt that is the thing, I would wear it. Yeah, I think it helps you a lot. And especially, I think it just leaves less to the imagination. Okay,
yeah. Great. All right, so Darnell J has a question for you. He says, my favorite type of jammies is a basic t-shirt and flannel jammy pant But what really sets the vibe for him is wearing his blue terry cloth Ralph Lauren robe. It's so plush and comfy, he says. He's also wanting to know, what is the best way to start being called in and considered for larger roles like guest stars, recurrings, series regs, once you've already had a few co-star credits under your belt and you want to take it to the next level?
What was the beginning of the question? How do you?
He wants to know how he could start getting called in. Maybe that's more an agent question. Getting called in for bigger roles once he's gotten a few co-stars.
You know what? That's really up to the casting person. I mean, once you come in for co-star roles and you've booked them, you're on our radar already. And then it just comes down to, okay, just so you guys understand. So sometimes we get guest star roles and during the casting call, they're like, we want a name for this. They have ideas already. So right there, we're,
Yeah.
SOL. As you progress in your career and as you get really strong and we bring you in over and over again, we'll start to bring you in for those bigger roles. There's not really much you can do except for just come in and blow it out of the water every time and be consistent and go do those co-star roles and be amazing. You have to understand, guys, also when you do a guest star role, like say you're the pedophile in PD, for instance, you can't come back for 2 years. And unless there's a pedophile in Chicago Fire, and then maybe they can bring you back as, so it's usually a one and done. If you come in for anything that is in the world, so say a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer or a district attorney or a firefighter, any of those roles that could conceivably come back if you're really good, and also could come back in med and also could come back in fire. So say you're brought in for a cop in PD and they really like you. When we get a cop in fire, we'll be like, do you want us to bring some cops that we've used before? We reuse our cops all the time. So those smaller co-star roles end up getting used more than a guest star role does. And gives you a chance for people to fall in love with you and stuff like that. So I would just say continue to do your great work. And if you're doing theater, make sure that we know about it so we can come see you. And, when we're at theater every week, we see about probably 30 shows a month. So that's a great way for me to see growth and see what people are capable of. Just know that if you're doing the work, we'll notice, and sometimes it just takes a little time.
And also too, I was looking at your website and you like people to send you invites via postal mail for theater. Is that right, Claire?
Yeah. If we got inundated with email invites, it'd be kind of overwhelming. But you know what? Another great way is to have your agent.
Okay.
Tell me.
Yeah.
Because I love that. I love when the agents are like, I've got somebody that's in a great show and we'd love for you to come see it. I'll always go see it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna maybe have a couple more questions and then we're gonna go live, folks. We're gonna go live. Oh yeah, so we were just talking about bigger roles. I wanna talk about those smaller roles. There are no small roles, only small whatever actors. Anyway, Rami A says, I've had auditions in your office for roles with one line, even one word. He says the word gross. He would like to know, when it comes to roles as small as that, what separates one actor from the next when it comes to getting the part?
You know what, you guys, those are the hardest roles.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely the hardest roles. Give somebody a really good scene, you got something to work with, but to come in and just have to go gross is, yeah. And it's a fine balance between making a choice and doing something interesting and not making a meal out of it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you have to, I think something that really helps, and especially those small roles, is like, is to know where you are, to know who you're talking to in the scene, and then give yourself like a little beat before to establish that. So if you're saying gross, obviously there's something you're looking at, right? So let's say you're walking into a smushed person and in fire, you walk in and you're like, oh, gross, you know. So give yourself a couple steps to walk in and then actually see that person, and then you can react. That's gross, you know. That kind of thing makes a difference in just standing and looking at the reader and saying the line. Does that make sense?
It does.
So when you have a really small role or a bigger role, if you want to just give yourself a beat or a button before to establish where you are and to make some kind of small physical choice so the scene makes sense. And then when it's over, you can put like a little button on the end also.
Awesome. Yay. That's great. And I completely agree that those small one-liners and a few lines are hard. So yeah, moment before, do your thing, button. Okay, guys? Awesome. Okay. Let me see. I'll ask one more and then we'll go into the lives. Okay. So can you talk to me, Claire, about, you know, clips versus reels versus websites? I have been hearing that clips are much more useful than reels and sites for casting. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So if I have the choice, I always want to look at clips. A website is okay. I don't want to sound super lazy, but it's more work. Mm-hmm. So if I need some, because usually if I'm asking for clips, it's because I either want to see it's either somebody's not in town or not available. I want to see their work before I call them in front of a director, mm-hmm. and I want to make sure that they've got a solid body of work and have done that kind of work. Or it's somebody from out of town, and I want to see their work. Or thirdly, somebody's like, I like Adria, I'm just not sure she has the fill in the blank. And I go, wait a minute, I can get some clips on her and prove, you know, how good she is. So it's helpful for me to pitch you to my people. Websites are just too much work. If I had to like go type in everybody's website and click on that and then navigate to find it takes 10 times the amount of time than just a clip does. And the downside of reels, at least for me, is people put their body of work and they add on to it. So I've got to like sort through all kinds of like one scene industrials from 1982 before I get to the good stuff. So clips, if I'm working on you know, a horror film and I need something that's similar and an agent's like, she already did something like that, they can send me appropriate material that goes with what I'm trying to sell or trying to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I just think clips are just make you more sellable. It's easier to pitch you that way.
Okay, clips, people, clips. Not hair clips. Not hair clips. Yeah, not this, you know.
Yeah,
clip.
No.
Okay. So I'm going to go live. Oh my God, look at all these people on here. Let's see. Kennedy M. Hey, question. Do you see SAG actors before SAG eligible? Is there ever a time you will not consider SAG actors for SAG projects? Guess this is non-union too. You see everybody, right?
I just want good. Honestly, guys, I don't even pay attention. I just want the best actor for the role. So so occasionally people are like, we'll only see SAG. And I'm like, you're going to cut off like one half of the great actors by doing that. So I'm just interested in good actors. For non-union, it's different. I can't see the union people. So I have to see only non-union. But we just tapped Hartley you. So if I just bring in all the actors and then I bring in the best ones of the bunch that I pre-read in for the actual audition. And if you're not union, then we tapped Hartley you and you're on your way to becoming union. So yes, I see everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have an anonymous attendee.
Anonymous?
Hey anonymous, mysterious. Hi, how much does your look and personality help when auditioning for a role rather than your experience or how much you prepared for your audition? Oh. So did you get that, Claire? How much is it?
Oh, I thought you were going to answer.
Oh. You answer.
Guys, I mean, how much you prepare is great, but what ultimately matters is what happens in the room, right? So sometimes you prepare your butt off and then you get nervous, and or sometimes you just are off. So preparation is important, but it doesn't, so you don't get to put that in the box when you leave and go, by the way, I prepared for an hour and a half, and we're like, okay, so he's in the top of the list kind of thing. So how you look? Well, it matters in terms of the role, I suppose. Like if you the director and the producer and the showrunner are all going to have different perspectives of exactly what they're looking for. We usually talk about it, and they'll give me as many details as they can about the role, if there are any. I would. It depends on the role. It's a really general question. I mean, like if I'm calling in people to be gangbangers and you're a fabulous actor, but you have a vibe and a look like you just graduated from Princeton, you probably won't get it. So your look is you. And if it's not what if it's not right for the role, then it has something to do with it. Unfortunately, it isn't always just the best actor wins. It's like who's most looks like the role and feels like the role and has the vibe of the role. So there's a lot that goes into it. If I could say this, if you're prepared and you do a great job, even if you're not right for the role, you're going to be remembered. You will not be forgotten. And I said, and so pay attention to how many times you get called in to the casting office or you're requested from the director. So if you're prepared and you do a great job, you're going to leave an impression, and that will lead to something, I promise.
Yeah. And you guys, I think it's important to just do your best and then leave it alone. You can't control how you look. You can control how you prep. So just focus on that, I'd say. Okay. George E. Hi, Claire. Even though I've done on-camera work for years, I think I'm doing something wrong. Aw, man. Well, many things, but I want to raise one with you. I came from a theater background. Should the on-camera audition be done at a regular speaking voice level? Thanks, George.
Wait, say that again?
He wants to know about his level of voice for on-camera when he goes to audition for on-camera.
It should not be like you're trying to project a Rosie. A lot of, I think, theater people, that's just an adjustment, is bringing it down. So it doesn't have to be theatrical. And for on camera, the more truthful, the more real, the more it seems like you're doing nothing, and a regular conversational tone is how it should be. I really noticed lately, a lot of people come in and whisper.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. The whisper is like too soft.
Yeah, like they're doing it like we have a boom mic or something. You don't want it to be too soft, or I don't know what it is. It's almost it's irritating because you can't hear, and the camera doesn't pick it up. So you just want to do it how you would do it in real life if you were really in that scene.
Yeah, I agree. Got that, George? Because I do feel like when people talk so soft and quiet, your energy just sort of stops here, and you don't get it to your reader, and you don't get it, where it needs to go.
Well, it's also work to hear it. Like you're just like, why are they not saying that in a regular tone of voice? So don't whisper and don't talk loud. Conversely, if you're going in for an audition for theater, I would use your theater voice. Like I would use your full voice, because when somebody comes in, when the director comes in for a theatrical audition, they're going to want to know that you can project and that you have a vocal instrument, and then you're going to be able to reach that row J kind of thing. So don't tone that down for the room when you come in for theater stuff. Okay.
That brings me to a question. So do you have actors that you only call in for theater, or versus actors that are just on cam?
Not really. I really am just really interested in good actors. I would say for theater, so for on camera, I call in, I want really great actors. It used to be, I think, like 20 years ago, the best actors in town were the ones who were working in theater.
Mm.
You know, they were the Steppenwolf people, the Goodman people, those sort of were the top actors in town. And I just think because of the change in our town with so much TV film stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
that people are just being, are coming up in multiple ways. Like we have our great theater people who are also on camera, but we also have a lot of people who are really fine actors who found their niche doing a lot of on camera stuff and have kind of evolved that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I only call in theater actors for theater projects though.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been trained that way and they have the vocal instrument. It's a different kind of training, and a lot of artistic directors aren't willing to take risks on somebody who say has, are 40 years old and have never had any theater background. It's like scary for them,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes. All right. Gosh, there's so many questions here. Do you view, this is from Emily S. Hey, Emily.
Hey, Emily.
Hey, do you view self-tape auditions differently than in-person auditions? Do you expect self-tapes to be more polished? I always feel more pressure to get it right, since in theory, we have as many takes as we need to nail it when we're at home, as opposed to doing it live.
Well, I hope the tapes are as good as you'd be if you came in person, and honestly, you want your tape to pop because, now that there's the possibility of getting so many self-tapes, every time we do pre-reads for all our shows before the actual audition, and then we will also take self-tapes from people who are not available or are out of town and can't get in for the actual pre-read. So we have a lot of self-tapes to go through. So honestly, if I have 50 tapes to go through and I don't have a lot of time and I click on it and the lighting's terrible and there's no reader and they're holding the paper, I don't always watch the whole thing because it's not something that I can present to my client.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to send that tape on to them and say, this is the person I think is the best, as someone who didn't give this any kind of care or preparation.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect the self-tapes to be just as nice as it would be in person, I think, if that makes sense. I don't expect anything more out of them. But I definitely, a lot of those tapes, once we find good ones, we'll put them on a link and send them to our clients. So you have to think in terms of that, like, is this a good enough tape to put in front of a director, and will it get me the job?
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yes. Okay. Ooh, another anonymous attendee. You're so active, Anonymous. What are your thoughts on people asking to start over in an audition if they feel like it's not going well?
That's a good question. Okay, well, here's the deal. If everybody flubs up, guys, the best of the best have bad days. We're not curing cancer. So you don't have to be, there's nothing wrong with going, oh my God, I just forgot those lines. Can I start again? Of course you can. I felt really off. Would you mind if I just gave it another swing? Of course you can. Yeah. When it gets to be not so much is when somebody comes in is either not prepared and can't get the lines, or is just having a super off day, and we do like 5 or 6 takes and wants to continue doing it. I guess the answer is, of course, you can have a retake. Just be aware that like doing 7 or 8 or 9 takes is probably not a good idea. You just need to know when to fold them, I guess.
Know when to walk away, know when to run.
Yeah. So I wouldn't ask for 4 and 5 takes because you keep flubbing the same line. It's just obviously not going to happen that time. And to be truthful, if it takes you 8 or 9 takes to get the 4 lines, I don't know how confident I am at that moment to put you on set. Because what happens when you're on set with a bunch of fancy actors who do it all the time and have no patience? I would rather feed you to the wolves when you're feeling better. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will. Oh, you can always have a second chance. 13th and 14th chance, probably not.
Probably not, you guys. No 14th chance.
No
Dang, that's a
14th
bummer
chance.
to
Yeah.
hear there.
Yeah.
Okay, hey Steve B, how you doing? I'm Wendy Williams now. How you doing? What about getting you to view non-theater work, like TV clips, like clips? Is there a way for people to get you to look at those?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, make me do it. No, of course I'll look at reels. For sure, have your agent send me your reel. Also, you can on Breakdown or if you're on Actors Access, there's a place you can put your film clips. So when we go and click on your resume, I can also go look at your film clips, and I look at those. So make sure that that's on your profile, and that's really helpful. So yes.
Awesome. Okay, Esteban C, hello, hello. Hello, love. Wearing my smiley face jammies. I love that. Okay. What's the best way to check in with you if it's been 2 years since our 5 and under?
What? 5 years since what?
Since it's been 2 years since their 5 and under audition.
Oh, okay. Well, you can send a note. Yeah, you can send a note. You can invite me to the show that you're inevitably in. You can have your agent call and say, "What's up? Esteban wants to say hello." Yeah, for sure. I don't know if that answers your question, but I guess snail mail or keeping us abreast of whatever you're doing. Send a postcard and say, "This is what I've been up to since the last I saw you," or "I miss you so much. Could I come over?" Something like that. But yeah, let me know what you're doing.
Okay, great. Let's see what I was going to ask you about. Okay. Oh, this is a big question I'm seeing a lot of, which is about non-union, non-represented talent. I know you have the Meals for Monologues and this virtual showcase, and you guys also know you can submit your headshot and resume in snail mail to her office, but are those the best ways to get seen? Do you have any other advice for non-repped, non-union?
You mean sending your headshot in, so we have that on file because we do generals all the time. Inviting us to your shows, coming to our open calls. Yeah, I think that, and getting an agent. How come you don't have an agent? Have you tried and you just haven't gotten one, or you're just not there yet?
Yeah, a lot of people will say to me, "Well, I don't have an agent," and I'll be like, "Well, did your friends take your picture? Like, did you, when's the last time you submitted? Are your audition materials really strong?" All those things help to get the wheel rolling, I would say.
Yeah.
Can we use theater clips? Hey, Tarina B, can we use theater clips to show our work if we have little to no film credits or TV credits?
Yeah, I guess. When you say you have theater, are you doing theater? Because if you're doing a show and you're a theater person, I'd rather come see you in live theater.
Ooh, yeah, Tarina B, you need to invite Claire to your theater, because me personally, I don't think theater looks good when it's filmed.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay. Claire mentioned wanting clips. Yeah, you guys, you can put your clips on Actors Access, put them up there, tell your agent to pass those along. And it's quality versus quantity, right, Claire? With all.
Yeah.
Oh, related to SAG, will you see FICOR people?
Yes.
Okay. Da, 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 da. What about a QR code on a resume that takes you directly to reel or clips?
QR code? A what?
What about a code on the resume that takes you directly to a reel or clips?
Back to me not wanting to do a whole bunch of work.
That seems tricky, Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there, okay, this is funny. Anne Marie H. Since I'm not likely seeing my hairdresser anytime soon, is this a good time to embrace the gray and just let it come on in?
Who said that?
Anne Marie H.
Anne Marie, I don't think you have a chance. You don't have a choice right now. Is the problem to embrace? I think you have to embrace the gray. Like, who's going to do your hair unless you do it in a box?
You know,
I don't know if any of you have seen the Tiger King on Netflix, but if this virus stay-at-home order doesn't end soon, that's how my hair is going to look by the time I go back to work. I'm just going to have a gigantic mullet. So I think we're all going to be in the same boat.
we are, but I think that brings up a larger question. It's like, I myself am not going to still be dyeing my hair bright red when I'm 70 or 80. Maybe I will. I don't know. I think it's good to think about embracing your gray when you feel like it's a whole package that's going to help your look as you move forward, right?
Well, you know what? I think the thing is like, if you are 70 and you're still worried about dyeing your hair, like, I think you should do whatever makes you feel the best
Right.
about yourself, and that, whatever makes you feel good, you should be doing. But generally when you're 70s and over and you're getting called in for probably specific roles, of that age, I think, yeah, go for it. Embrace your gray. You might get called in for more roles, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Kalika R. Hey, Kalika. Hope I'm saying your name right. What's the best way for a young actor who's not represented yet to begin getting onto CD's radars and brought into offices, who is not represented? Yeah, you probably have to get repped or be in a really great play, right, Claire?
Exactly. You need to send your headshot to all the agencies in town and tell them that you're new and that you're looking for representation, and wait to get called in and go meet with people, and audition for all the theater you can in town so that your work can be showcased, and then invite everybody to come see you.
Yeah.
It's hard right now, guys, because there's absolutely not one thing going on. Not one thing. Well, except for we're our link for Indiana rep. But aside from that, there's no on-camera stuff. Like, the Chicago Film Office isn't even issuing permits for anyone to shoot anything during this pandemic. So,
Wow.
this is a great time for you to get your materials together, like get a great headshot and get your resume together and make sure it looks really good, and prepare a mailing to all the agencies, and get a list of, there's so many agencies in town, and get a mailing out, and take an online acting class, and get your, like, this is just a great time to get to get all your materials together and get in a good headspace so that you're ready when things pick up again in July.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
It is a really good time to get all those things done that you've been kind of dragging your feet on, or not time to.
Yeah.
I have another question really quick. This might be our last one before we do a little wrap up. If I was getting called in a lot and then that stops and slows down a lot, should I be worried?
You know what? I'm assuming you have an agent. I would call your agent and say, can you call and get the lowdown? I will always give the truth to the agent to pass on to you. Sometimes it just depends on, like, have you booked something? Did you book one of the shows that you can only come back every 2 seasons, or were your last auditions not your best auditions? Did you feel off and you just needed to get reintroduced there? I would, I don't know, I don't know. So or rather than letting your brain go out of control, which it will if you live inside your own head for 10 minutes and try to figure out why no one's calling you in, there'll be all kinds of bad things that you will create, all kinds of drama. Just tell your agent that you'd love to get back into so-and-so's office, and you used to get called in all the time and you haven't been, and would she mind checking in for it? And then be open to whatever they say. Like, if you got called in all the time when you were like in your 20s and now you're 30 something, maybe the roles that you were right for at that time kind of have dried up, or maybe
Right.
it was all kind of, you know, it kind of goes in like waves of things. You know, like there's there'll be a period where all I'm calling in are like gangbangers to my
Yeah.
chagrin, or, you know, just a 20-year-old. So it kind of, it goes in waves. So yeah, get the, you know, ask your agent to get the information so you can be informed and then either fix it or relax.
Awesome. You guys, these questions have been great. Thank you so much for this live part. That's really cool. Before we end, I want you to know that this interview is going to be up on ASC's webinar page, so everybody can listen to Claire's awesome advice later if you couldn't make it today. Now I'm just going to have a little fun. I made up a little game here we're going to end on. It's a game called Pick Your Preference. Say that 3 times, everyone. Pick your preference. Which is you just picking one of the things I say. Okay, Claire? Okay. Predictable or unexpected?
Unexpected.
Routine or variety?
Variety.
Out of the box or right in the pocket?
Can't it be out of the box and in the pocket at the same time?
Yes, it can. It can.
Okay, thank you.
Normal versus mysterious?
Mysterious.
Sweet or spicy?
Salty.
Oh, yeah, salty. Coffee or booze?
Coffee.
Pizza or sushi?
Pizza.
Subtle or in your face?
Subtle.
Big belly laugh, or is it just a little slight chuckle, Claire?
For me?
Yeah.
That one's a big belly laugh. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. All right, you guys. So the last thing I want to end on out there is, Claire, you say that only you can do you, and I love that. So you guys, only you can do you. And Claire, what do you mean by that?
That means when you are at your absolute best, there's nobody else that can do you. You're one of a kind. And so instead of going into auditions and trying to figure out what they're after and how you can be more like somebody else, or how you can fit into some kind of mold, just be your best self. And, you know, live out loud and take up space, and walk into an audition like you already got it. And, you know, even if you don't get that particular one, I guarantee you'll leave an impression. And, you know, you're one of a kind. I think you're one of a kind. And so there.
So there, you're one of a kind, okay? You are.
Yeah.
And there you have it, folks. I just want to thank you so much, Claire, for joining us.
You guys, stay safe. Stay safe and stay home, because I want to see you all in July.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen people, so I'm going to hug everybody. And it's going to be those, it's not going to be a regular hug. It's going to be those long, uncomfortable ones your aunt gives you when you have to pat her back 1,000 times to release you. So just get ready for it.
All right, thank you. Thank you to our fearless leader, Rachel Patterson at Acting Studio Chicago. Thank you to our own office mafia at ASC and our teacher mafia. And that is a wrap, my friends.
Bye, guys.
Tune in again. We might just do this again with someone else. Okay, bye. Thank you, Claire.
You're welcome. Take care.